Hello everyone and welcome back to 40k Teams. We've had 3 5-man team tournaments this week. First week of July. Let's see if things are interesting in the team meta and see if there's any innovation. We're going to kick things off with Austria having a 5-man team event on custom terrain. I believe this is kind of like a hybrid GW terrain from what I could tell from the pack. It's definitely not WTC, definitely not UKTC, and it does have this like small attachments to the baseboards, very similar to GW, but I couldn't say for certain if it was GW. You can have a look at the pack yourself. It's on BCP, and I've put a link in the description. But we had 17 teams in this super major with a clean sweep from the team above, 5 anchor I'm going to call them, to make things easier for me, as I do believe that's German and I don't speak German. Excuse my ignorance. We had attack Omegon taking a loss in the first round, but then having 4 wins follow up. We have another attack Alfarius following up there with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and then finally we have team Styria with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So solid performances across all the teams here. A very decisive victory from 5 anchor. Let's take a look at their team composition. So we are taking a look at 5 anchors comp here. We have double knights. It was bound to happen eventually. We were just waiting for it. Well, I believe that they're both big knights as well. We will take a look at the Lords of Dread's list in a moment. Liberator Assault Group as the Space Marine of choice. So foregoing the Ultramarines, going for something more aggressive in terms of melee. This might be part of the composition choice as well. You've got 2 big knights, 2 big knight lists, and then you have Champions of Contagion, which is going to be running a lot of vehicles itself. So maybe want some melee pressure just to be able to go out and push, or maybe punish armies that don't deal with fast melee pressure like Blood Angels. So that's probably the choice there of Ultramarines taking another kind of vehicle-ish gun line. We have Champions of Contagion, which we just talked about. This is probably not the most popular of Death Guard detachments, but it's still viable as Death Guard, right? They're super good. They're super cheap for their points. I think you can make most of the detachments work. And then finally we have Thomas on Warhost, bringing the Fire Dragon goodness with some Dark Reapers to shoot and scoot out of those Wave Serpents, deal loads of damage, keep resources intact, and play the mission, win the game. You can even table people with this list because it has a lot of outputs with sustained within 12 inches, and if you put Lickus in, you get crits on 5s. So there's a lot of stacking buffs, which can really help the Eldari push big wins here. So let's take a look at some of the lists from the winning team. Speaking of the sneaky L's, we are looking at Thomas's list, which took a first place with the shoot and scoot variation. It's got some pretty standard stuff here, I think, when it comes to this archetype. It's very aspect warrior heavy, and I feel that you could go aspect host and just have 1 shoot and scoot and get a bit more of damage reliability with the reroll 1s, but it doesn't offer you the mobility that Warhost offers. So you get +1 to move, or +1 to all your battle focuses. So +3 move on a movement token, d6 +2 on the reactive moves, d6 +2 on the star engines, which can be quite important for those 10 fire dragons. He's opted for 10 Dark Reapers here to mix up some profiles, and with Timeless Strategist you get an extra token, so the Autarch joins there. It has a captain ability, so it can fire and fade back into the Wave Serpent for free every turn, which is really good. For the CP economy, we don't have Aldrad here. You're definitely going to be spending a CP on the Skyborn Sanctuary as the other shoot and scoot for the 10 fire dragons with Fugun. They get the additional 6-inch range on their melter guns, and opted for the Dragon Fusion gun here, which is melter 6, so going for more damage rather than the utility of the fire pike, which has a 24-inch range like Fugun if you have him in the squad. We have a couple of MSU fire dragons here to go just deal with the target, maybe do a move block and then die. It's not all in on like the 20 fire dragons. I've played that list, and unfortunately if you run into certain matchups, you just have like 600 points that don't do that much. So I do think the 10-5-5 split is the better option if you do decide to go that way. We have 2 Highland Banshees on their own. I'm not too big on Highland Banshees without Jay-Z at the moment. I do feel they're a bit on the weaker side. So yeah, it's a choice, and he obviously did really well with them. You look at the scores there for 20 nils and the 17-3. So utilise those Banshees again. Striking Scorpions feel really expensive for their points, especially when you get Rangers for 55. But I'm not going to criticise Thomas here. His list has been fantastic at this event. It's just kind of my personal preference. Double Warp Spider, 2 Serpents to shoot and scoot. The extra 2 5 Dark Reapers with Tempest Launchers for a bit of indirect. Lickus going with the Power Blade Array for that 27-inch in charge. Like you just yeet her across the table, so she can threaten expansions. She can give crits on 5s if you decide to use Sustain strat. She's really good. I've really enjoyed her when I've used her. And then finally some Storm Guardians to hold the backfield. So really strong performance here from Thomas, showing that Eldar is definitely a threat in teams, and being able to hunt all sorts of matchups here. We got Infernal Lance, which was the worst score, interestingly enough, with all these Fire Dragons, but doing really well against a variety of lists: Ultramarine Gladius, Tactical Brigade, and Coterie. So just going to show that there's a lot of versatility in this style of list. So well done, Thomas. Let's go on to the next list. Alright, moving over to Lucas's list. Perhaps brothers, who knows, but well done to Lucas, taking 2nd place here. Some really convincing scores into a variety of armies. Oathband, which people are starting to believe has a good matchup into Knights with the Judgment tokens, getting 20 nils. But yeah, Chaos Knights really strong here, going for the triple Abominant version with a Despoiler and a Tyrant. I've seen other versions go for the 2 Despoilers and 3 Rampages as an alternative, but Lucas here has gone for the Abominants, providing mortal wounds. They all stack together as well, so they can deal a lot of mortals in combination with all the battle shocks and stuff. The Despoiler going for the thermal cannons instead of the chain cannons. The chain cannons have been quite popular, but I guess with the prominence of other knights and other vehicle skews, the thermal cannons may be a better position than going for double chain cannon. The Tyrant has gone for the melter guns with the Volcano Lance and has a Warpborn Stalker, so there's a really good opportunity here to reserve this knight. It gains Deep Strike, I believe, which is really good. Let me just double check that. Warpborn Stalker gains Deep Strike, which is even better, so it doesn't have to come on a table edge. So you could rapid ingress this in to go and hunt like another knight or another vehicle. It comes out, it blasts it with the melter guns, and then at the end of your opponent's turn, if they don't tag it, it gets to go back and reserve, and you can do it all over again. So really good utility. It feels like it was definitely a choice for the meta game. And I'd really like to see some of my Chaos Knight players adopt this. This could be a really good shout. And then finally we have a Stalker and a Carnivore. 2 mission plays, 2 skirmishing units. Stalkers and Carnivores are definitely becoming the choice when it comes to the War Dogs. The mighty Brigand has fallen in terms of power level here, and they have become the main dogs. So yeah, looking really good here. Well done to Lucas. Nice to see a variation on the knights here. Like I said, the Despoiler Rampages have become the more popular ones that I've known about. So yeah, well done, Lucas. Let's move on to the next tournament. Our next tournament is in Montreal, Quebec. I am not going to try and say the tournament name. I will just go with Imperia-Lys, I guess, or Imperia, I'll call it, to make things easier for myself. 14-man teams. I couldn't find a terrain pack, so I have no idea what terrain this was. If you did enter this tournament and you do watch the channel, let me know. It gives me a lot of context, and it gives the viewers some context as well. Taking first place is Team Vice Miniatures with 4 wins and 1 loss, and following close behind is Imperia-Lys United, and then Vice Quebec taking 3rd place with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and then 4th place we have Imperialist Tinder taking 3 wins and 2 losses. So it does look like a tale of 2 teams here, or 2 clubs. We have Vice I'm assuming Vice Quebec and Vice Miniature are the same team, given the names, and Imperia-Lys United, Imperia-Lys Tinder are on the same team, or at least in the same clubs. So yeah, tale of two clubs here potentially. Let's take a look at the winning composition. Taking a look at Team Vice Miniature's composition, we do have Eldar making its return with Warhost. So potentially now players in team comps are thinking we need that skew to go hunt Knights down, or at least pose a threat to them. And we discussed Thomas's list beforehand, so we got a good idea of kind of where Warhost is going and what direction. We have another Noble Lance, no surprise there given how powerful Knights are. Warhorde offering that melee pressure and board pressure, which is going to be really good in these kind of high vehicle skew metas. Like the less models your opponent has, one of the counters you can do to that is taking a Horde, so it does make a very kind of interesting meta game if it goes down that route. Renegade Raiders, really solid CSM detachment, seems to be the CSM detachment of choice still. No return decoration of Baal as of yet, and then Star Shatter on the Nekrons, with Christian doing really well, and we're going to take a look at his list. As said, Christian did really well with the Star Shatter Assault, taking 4th place with 3 convincing wins, one against Dread Talons. Who would have thought that Dread Talons are going to come into the meta here? Taking a different list to usual Star Shatter, a few alterations. We're starting to see more Wraiths appear, which is no surprise given their points reductions, but the absence of this list is a Silent King, and opting for the Nightbringer instead. So perhaps the thought here is a Nightbringer can go hunt like other vehicles or elite infantry, and pretty durable with a 5 field no pain and half damage. So maybe that was the thought here. Get our Nightbringer into like enemy knights and stuff like that, elite infantry, and take them down. We do have a Catacomb Barrage as well, providing the reroll ones with the Dread Mastery. We have 2 Locust Destroyers with the Gauze Destructors, providing some kind of shaky anti-tank, but they're cheap enough they can do actions, and you know they have a big footprint with their really large bases, perhaps providing move blocking opportunities or being able to screen out. And then we just have, you know, your typical good stuff, flayed ones for infiltrate. We have the spiders to provide the 6 of feel no pain, the reanimator to heal additional wounds, and then the Doomsday Arcs to provide that long range shooting. So a different variation of Star Shatter Assault, opting for the Nightbringer of the Silent King. Very spicy from Christian. Let's take a look at the next event. Our final event of this week was a small 6-team WTC 5-man in Portugal, the Black Hole Team Tournament. Taking first place is Giros do Mondego. I'm never going to pronounce stuff like this, I do apologise. 4 wins and a draw. OS Velhos taking 3 wins and 2 draws. Matter Velhos taking 2 wins, draw, and 2 losses. And then S Tears, as in crying tears, it takes 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. Now, Giros has a returning podium player I believe we had last week, so let's take a look. Gustavo makes his return to the podium here with combined arms again. If you'd like to take a look at this list, it's in a previous video. I believe it was last week. Gustavo being on Team Sigil. Other factions in the comp here, we have Star Shatter again, proven to be another popular choice alongside Awakened Dynasty, and maybe the choice for Necrons going forward. Grand Coven, no surprise to see that, with T-Sense being so powerful in WTC terrain. Magnus being able to just tow ruins and just be really, really evil is definitely a problem. Oathband from Gil here with the Leaks of Votan, a really, really solid faction. Hasn't changed much over the last couple of years since its big detachment overhaul from the Index, but just has provided a really solid defender or take all comers. And then finally we have Berserker Warband from Ricardo. Again, it's between Berserker Warband and the Demonkin, which each of them being as popular, but I think Berserker Warband offers you that more aggressive, kind of stronger listed, like get differential, whereas Demonkin's more tricksy because Berserker Warband provides more damage. So let's take a look at one of the winning lists. So Gustavo was the best player at the event. You can take a look at that list in a previous video. Like I said, I believe it was last week. So I decided to cover the second best player, which was from OS Velhos with Victor. And Coterie has been quite a popular faction among the teams environment. We've covered Coterie quite a few times on winning compositions, so I thought it'd be nice to take a look at a Coterie list and see how well it did. And as you can see from the scores, apart from Oathband and Liberate Assault giving it a run for its money, had some very convincing wins. And looking at the list here, we have pretty conventional in terms of the Emperor's Children. They don't have a huge amount of data sheets, so it is unfortunate that they don't get to have a huge amount of variety as well. And Votan is another faction that suffers from this. I do play Votan, so I am very much looking forward to more models being available. But looking at the enhancements, at least, we've opted for 2 enhancements here. One on the Demon Prince and one on the Cacophonist. We have the Pledge of Eternal Servitude, which is the first time the bearer is destroyed, take a leadership test, and if that's passed, it gets back up with D6 wounds remaining. So not a guaranteed resurrection like some factions have options for, like Nekrons and Sisters and even Harlequins. You actually have to make a leadership test for this, so maybe this is a direction resurrection abilities will go in the future. We are getting closer and closer to the end of this edition with only about a year left, and you can sometimes see some patterns with choices that they make with enhancements and stuff. So yeah, really good for a Demon Prince. You never want that to get back up. And the Cacophonist has the Pledge of Unholy Fortitude, which is once per turn after making a hit, wound or saving throw model. If it's not battle shocked, you can use the enhancement and it treats the result as a 6. So being able to make one of your hits or wounds or saves a 6 can be pretty clutch, allowing the Cacophonist to stick around or have more output. But aside from that, we've got pretty standard Emperor's Children stuff here. Bucket of Noise Marines, Infractors to play the early game, Rhinos to hold those things, Spawn to scout and start some early board pressure or actions, and then the Demon Princes with Lucius to provide that punch towards the end. So yeah, really well done to Victor here with second place with Coterie, which has been written off by some teams and some players. Good to see they're still performing. That wraps up this first week of July. Thank you very much for tuning in. Drop a like, subscribe, or a comment if you have any thoughts on some of the teams, or even if you're a participant and would like to just say hi, or just give some context to how your team performed or how some of the other teams performed. We are very, very close to WTC, which is going to be the biggest event of the year for this channel. I cannot wait to cover some of the team compositions with some special guests, so please keep an eye out for that, and I look forward to recording those episodes. So until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you next time on 40k Teams.